Hi, my name is Michael, and you're about to learn why the stories you love are garbage. And today we're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's get something straight. I really liked the first Deadpool. It was funny, it was inventive, it was fresh. Then came Deadpool 2, and it was good. Good. On the surface, it looked even better. They've got more characters, they've got more actors, and really talented ones. Josh Brolin, Leslie Beats, Alan Tudyk, Brad Pitt. The story was also well thought out, but something wasn't quite right. And I think I know what. Let's consider this scene.
You think the studio would throw us a bone? Okay, they can't just dust off one of the famous X-Men. How about that Potts with the giant pigeon wings? What do those do anyway, huh? Carry him 3 feet off the ground to snatch up the nearest muffin crumb?
Again, on the surface, it's great. It's a joke from the previous movie, but given a new spin, which is one of the greatest sources of humor. But for some reason, it didn't quite work for me. It was odd, and I spent quite some time trying to figure out what's wrong. Finally, I realized that that new spin is something that Deadpool himself remains oblivious to. From his perspective, there is no new spin. He's rehashing an old gag. And that is the issue with that movie in general. Deadpool himself. He started falling into a routine, became lazy with his jokes.
That's just lazy writing. God, that's lazy writing.
Still, there were plenty of other characters who could and did carry the movie. In fact, I dare say many of other characters were more interesting than Deadpool himself. NTW, Domino, Colossus, even the likes of Yukio and Vanessa. After playing the role wonderfully in the first movie, Ryan Reynolds proceeded to play exactly the same in the second one, which shoved Deadpool into the shadow of other characters in his own movie. But then came the third movie, which is today's subject. And it seems to me that pretty much all character work in this movie was done just to prop up the lead. Maybe it was intentional, maybe it was not, but the result is the same anyway. For starters, they pretty much got rid of those pesky other characters. Almost. Leaving them there technically, but not really.
Get in here. This was 6 years ago, you'd all be dead.
The idea was probably to allow Deadpool to shine unobstructed. But for that he should be able to shine at all, and he's still the same old Deadpool. Nothing new and nothing exciting. That's not to say that the character has to change, by the way. Sometimes the character stays the same, but we're able to look at them from a different perspective. And that makes them more interesting.
Horrible.
Aren't you supposed to be drinking tea anyway?
Tea is soothing. I wish to be tense.
Okay, but you're destroying a perfectly good cultural stereotype here.
But here we don't get that. We're glued to one perspective, and the character of Deadpool stops being exciting. The only old character who did not fade into the background, of course, was Peter. And with him, the filmmakers probably thought he's such a beloved character, his appearance on screen would be enough to make the movie an instant classic. In reality, we did love Peter in the second movie, but we loved him as a comic relief, not as a hero. A comic relief can become a hero, sure.
If you're gonna play with fire, you gotta expect sooner or later. I wasn't finished!
But that requires quite a lot of work. It's an arc that needs developing, instead of showing us the beginning and the end. There were some new characters, of course. We've got two new villains, who both got so little screen time that, for the most part, it wasn't clear their really big bads and not just random obstacles. And we've got Wolverine. Now, I have a confession to make. I've only ever seen the first 3 X-Men movies, the classics. I tried to watch First Class and found it boring, so I DNF'd it. And after that, nothing from that franchise. So, while I am familiar with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, it was quite a while since I've seen him. And I don't think it's wrong for me not to get a refresher. Rather, it's wrong for the movie to assume that everybody did their summer reading. Watching, whatever. It is possible to make a movie that uses established characters but is able to stand on its own. I know, because I've seen the Avengers before any of individual movies, save for Iron Man. I did have a rough idea who Hulk or Captain America are, but that was it. And the movie was still totally enjoyable. Plus, this Wolverine is explicitly not the guy from the X-Men movies. It's a new character. And the movie does a poor job establishing him. His tragic past is literally told to us, not shown, which tells me that we're not supposed to care. Characters aside, there is one more thing I care about in the stories. The plot. Which is also pretty bad here. Let's first look at the goal. In the first movie, Deadpool's goal was to find Francis and force him to restore DP's face. Later, they add the goal of saving Vanessa. Deadpool reaches the second goal but not the first, making the ending somewhat bittersweet, which is great. In the second movie, the goal is to save the kid. That goal is reached fully, which is not that great. As I always say, failure is what makes things interesting. In the third movie, the goal is to save the world. Again, it sounds like it should be even more exciting, but it isn't. That's what a lot of storytellers misunderstand. The goal doesn't have to be big, it has to be personal. A villain hell-bent on killing the hero is much more scary and exciting than a villain hell-bent on destroying the world. Restoring the nice face is a personal goal, and saving the love of the hero's life is very personal. Saving a random kid is not very personal, but we do get to know that particular kid. The second movie is very careful about that. Saving the world is very much not personal, especially with the characters that won't survive world destruction being removed from the movie. It's further diminished by the number of times that threat was used before.
It's the end of the world.
Again?
And the way the heroes go about reaching that goal isn't great either. For the most part, they just randomly meander from one place to another, desperately trying to squeeze out the tiniest bits of nostalgia, which for some strange reason is believed to make people like the movie. Worse, throughout the movie, I had no idea what is it that the titular Deaderinos are going to try. It pretty much looked like their way of saving the world was to punch each other in a car, since I don't see any other purpose of two constantly regenerating guys making holes in each other. While the first movie was excellent, and the second was almost as good, this one was running on nostalgia fumes, and no thought was given to developing characters or crafting an exciting story, and it's really sad. That's all I have to say. We'll see you next time. Bye.